Hello everyone, I'm Eris Colgan and welcome to our Blended Learning Parent Information Session.
Buenas noches, bienvenidos. Esta noche estamos con la líder de la escuela, Eris Colgan, y vamos a hablar un poco del aprendizaje combinado.
So this evening we are offering English and Spanish and ASL interpretation.
Esta noche estamos ofreciendo interpretación en el idioma español y también el idioma de gestos.
So the steps we will need to change channels to hear the translation. And so these are our steps.
Los pasos para que usted siga y cambie de canal al idioma de preferencia son los siguientes.
So step one, in a moment, I'm going to turn on interpretation and you'll see a globe appear at the bottom of your screen.
En un momento, la señora Colgan va a prender el modo de interpretación y usted va a darle clic en la parte de abajo el globo donde dice interpretación.
From there, you're going to choose the language you want to hear this presentation in.
En ese momento, usted va a escoger el lenguaje que desea de preferencia.
And it's going to show up as the flag for that country.
Y va a aparecer como la bandera de ese país.
And then the last step is you will need to mute original audio.
Y el último paso, usted necesita poner en silencio el audio original.
So I'm going to stop sharing.
En este momento ella va a dejar de compartir.
And then I will turn on interpretation.
Y vamos a prender la parte de interpretación.
Okay. So just doing a test here. If you are hearing my voice, you are in the English channel. If you are hearing Ms. Halaz's voice, you are in the Spanish channel. Ms. Acosta, is it sounding okay on your side?
Yes, it is.
Great. So we will proceed. So with us this evening, you have myself, Eris Colgan. I'm the school leader. We have Masame Spar, who's our Director of Operations. We have Jana Lunetta, our Associate Director of Operations. Erin Acosta, our Director of Development. And Lena Halaz, who is our Administrative Personnel Manager and Spanish Interpretation. I will take pauses throughout the night, just making sure that everyone is getting the information they need. So we know you're going to have a lot of questions this evening. First and foremost, we hope that we will answer many of your questions throughout this presentation. If you have questions, I'm going to ask you to use the Q&A function rather than the chat. It helps us organize them in a better way. We will be working hard to answer as many questions as possible throughout the presentation via the Q&A. And we will collect all questions, translate to Spanish, and share via email following this presentation. I wanted to start us off with our Growing Up Green mission statement for reopening. So as we plan to reopen our buildings, Growing Up Green will keep the safety and health of our school community, students, staff, and families at the center of everything we do. We acknowledge the shared trauma our community experienced and will lead with patience, compassion, comfort, understanding, and collaboration. We will use this opportunity to reflect and rebuild as a stronger, more equitable, and vibrant learning community.
Ms. Colgan, we have a few family members who are letting us know that they still can't hear. So before we go further, I'd like to pause for everyone and make just a reminder. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the interpretation icon. Oh, thank you very much. You're going to click the interpretation icon, and then you're either going to choose English or Spanish. And then once you've chosen your language, you have to click the icon again and mute original audio. So it's a two-step process. You click it once to pick the language, and then you have to click that little icon again to mute your original audio.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta. Okay, so taking us through our agenda this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset, schedule, academic program, student and staff groupings, health and safety, ventilation, busing, and then some school updates. So first and foremost, we wanted to start with our mindset. As a school community this year, as educators, we came together with these guiding principles as we looked at this unusual year. First and foremost, that all children are known. And then we said Maslow before Bloom. Maslow believes in meeting students' personal needs, their emotional needs before their academic needs. Meeting each child where they are, because we've all experienced this together. Celebrating progress over mastery. Having conversations around social justice. And then as we're all learning new things, emphasizing the importance of developing an adult learning community. Our in-person learning considerations. So for students, we wanted to make sure that students who chose all remote learning are not missing out. And we also wanted to provide opportunities for joy, connection, and interpersonal work and play. For teachers, it was important to us that we were not having them plan for students in person and or remote and at school at the same time. Schedule. Our weekly in-person learning schedule is going to take place on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This means that students are coming into the school building to start just one day a week, and we'll talk a little bit about that more as we go through the presentation. As it is now, we have 12 groups coming on Monday, 14 groups coming on Tuesday, and 12 groups coming on Wednesday, with Thursday and Friday reserved for a deep cleaning of the school building. Here is a sample school day for students. This remote school day will run from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Arrival is from 8 to 8:15, 8:15 to 8:30 is unpacking. Then they move into breakfast, which is their first mask break. Morning meeting with the students who are in person. Then you'll notice throughout the schedule there are 3 asynchronous work times. This is an opportunity for students to do their asynchronous work from Google Classroom that day with the support of a teacher in person. We will also offer short mask breaks during those times. We've built in a class bathroom break for each room. And then we also have an emergency protocol, but I'll come to that. In-person students will also participate in a social emotional learning activity. They will have lunch in the classroom. We've been able to schedule in 30 minutes of recess. And then we have a pack up and go home routine. This is a sample schedule, and each cohort schedule varies on each day. So we will share that with you next week. So attendance on in-person learning days, you will be marked present if you are in person on your scheduled day. If you arrive on not your scheduled day, that will not count as present attendance. Arrival after 8:15 a.m. is counted as tardy. And if for any reason your student does not pass the health screening upon arriving to the school, we will make that note in the attendance system for you. Please note that if you do not come to school on your day, we expect you to be in attendance for remote learning. But please let us know if you will not be in school on your scheduled day so that we can plan accordingly. All right, routines. Student arrival is from 8 to 8:15 a.m. Families, we're going to ask you to stay with your student up to temperature check, and that is when you will separate from your child. Our arrival team safety procedures, they will be wearing masks, shields, gloves, gowns, and a picture of themselves outside their gowns so that children can recognize them. Student arrival locations. We will be using 3 entrances to our building for arrival. Kindergarten and 3rd grade will line up at the recess yard. 2nd and 4th grade will use the main entrance. And 1st and 5th grade will use the gym entrance. Once again, you must stay with your student for the arrival protocol. Uh-oh. Student traffic. Once in the building, a staff member, I don't know why that slide's not loading. I'm sorry. Once your student has had their temperature checked, they will get a pump of hand sanitizer just inside the school building. We will have a traffic monitor stationed on each floor that will be there with a walkie-talkie to help monitor traffic. Additionally, we will be putting color-coded tape on the floor in 6-foot intervals to help students find their way to their class location. Kindergarten will be in red, 1st grade in orange. Are we okay, Ms. Acosta?
If you would like to see that other slide, I can then share my screen. I have it up.
Oh, okay. Sure. I will stop sharing.
Oh, it's only saying that you can share. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're going to keep going, and you'll see that slide in the deck when we share. Technology, always something fun. So 2nd grade will have yellow pathway, 3rd grade will have a green pathway, 4th grade will have a blue pathway, and 5th grade will have a purple pathway. Once at the classroom, student cohorts will be identified by an animal and their color. There will be a cone placed outside of the room that they are learning in for that day with their animal sign on it. And then the teacher will be there by the doorway. There will be a sanitizer pump mounted next to each classroom door. So students will take a pump of sanitizer and then enter the classroom, and they will go directly to their assigned spot and begin taking out their computer and their supplies for the day. So here are our maps. This is the 1st floor. You'll see here, this is the 28th Street entrance to our building. Here's the main entrance, the gym entrance, or sorry, the recess entrance, and then the gym entrance is on this side. This is our hand sanitizer pump inside the school building. This is our temp check staff member and our traffic monitor. You will see staff cars parked in these spaces here. We've left this space open for kindergarten and third grade families to line up out of the recess yard and then down the side of the street. Second and fourth grade families will line up on outside of the school building, starting at the main entrance and going towards the recess yard. And then first and fifth grade families will line up by the gym exit and then come out and across the front of our school building, making sure you're maintaining your social distancing and wearing your mask. I'm really having a lot of technical difficulties, huh? Okay, well, those two slides are the maps of the second and the third floor. And what you'll see when I share this presentation is the color-coded markings that show the pathway, and then a cone outside of each classroom and the hand sanitizer pump. I'm really sorry that those are not loading this evening. So we're moving on to breakfast. Breakfast will be served in the classroom from 8:30 to 9 a.m. each day. Breakfast, since cohorts are no more than 9 students in each group, 9 breakfasts will be delivered to a bin outside of the classroom. You can imagine this sort of the way food is served on an airplane. The teacher will take those breakfasts. They will distribute some hand sanitizer and a prepackaged breakfast to each student at their desk. Students will remove their mask and they will enjoy their breakfast. At the end of breakfast, or when students are finished, they will put their mask back on. The teacher will then walk around the classroom holding a trash can, and students will throw their trash into the trash can. The teacher will then distribute a cleaning wipe to each student, who will then be guided on how to clean their tabletop surface. And then the teacher will walk around with the trash can again, collect all of those wipes, and then place the trash outside of the classroom for the facilities team to collect. Bathroom. So we have protocols for class bathroom breaks and emergency bathroom breaks. Each class will have a scheduled 10-minute bathroom break. There will be 1 student in each bathroom at a time. We have 2 bathrooms on the 2nd floor and 2 bathrooms on the 3rd floor. And facilities will be cleaning the bathroom between each class visit. A staff member will be stationed in the hallway near each bathroom with a walkie-talkie. If a student in any class needs to use the bathroom, the teacher will call the bathroom monitor. The bathroom monitor will tell them to send the child down, and then the bathroom monitor will ensure that the child goes in and comes back out of the bathroom and then goes straight back to class. Lunch. Please note that the lunch time is specific to each cohort on each day. We were just providing samples in today's session. Lunch is served the same as breakfast, sort of like if you were on an airplane. They're delivered outside the classroom. The teacher delivers them to the student who is seated. And then students enjoy that lunch with their mask off. Teachers may read a story or watch a video during this, an educational video during this time. Trash collection is exactly the same. Students remain seated. Teacher walks around with a trash can, collects trash, distributes wipes. Students wipe their surface with guidance, and then teacher collects wipes and places trash outside of the classroom for their facilities team to collect. Recess is primarily going to be in the recess yard, but we do have the gym as a backup. So we want to have kids outside as much as possible with a little bit more space. We will have 2 cohorts outside in the recess yard at a time. They will be kept separate and will engage in socially distant activities led by a teacher or staff member. This is an important shift that I really want you to take note of. We will be going outside as much as possible, so please make sure your child is dressed for the day's weather. The only reasons we will come inside is if there is heavy rain, significant ice, or a wind chill advisory. If one of these things happens, we will use the gym or the classroom for that recess time. Pack up and clean up. Students will be responsible for packing all of their personal belongings. Teachers will, of course, guide. We want to make sure students go home with everything that they brought to school that day. Teachers will distribute a wipe again. Students will wipe down their surface. Teacher will circulate with the trash can, and then the trash can will be placed outside of the classroom. Student dismissal is 1 and 110. These are our student dismissal locations. Dismissal is taking place outside, which is different for us. Kindergarten and 3rd grade will be on the recess yard. Kindergartners will be ready for pickup at 1, and 3rd grade will be ready for pickup at about 1:10. Outside of the main entrance to the left and the right will be 2nd and 4th grade, same times, 1 and 1:10. And then from the gym entrance in the church parking lot, we have 1st and 5th grade. Same timing, 1 and 1:10. We understand that many of you are picking up siblings. We encourage you to get your younger students first and then work your way up to your older students. At 1:20, students will return to their classroom with their classroom teacher. We're really hoping that teachers are not needing to take this step because everyone got picked up on time. The main office will be making calls to late families. At 2 o'clock, if we still have late students, and again, we really hope we do not at this time because you all picked up on time, those students will be brought to the gym and the main office will continue to call. Our academic program. So learning in the school building and learning at home. If students have opted into in-person learning, they will have morning meeting with the people who are in person with their group of students. They will partake in a social emotional learning activity with their in-person group. They will work on their asynchronous assignments, same as their peers who are doing remote learning. But the teacher is present to support, model strategies, and engage children in a discourse related to the lesson as is appropriate. If students are learning at home, they follow their remote learning schedule. Lab periods may shift a bit once one teacher is in the school building. Asynchronous work time. Those are the previously recorded, uploaded assignments in Google Classroom. Students will use their Chromebooks to work on the asynchronous assignments for the day. Once again, the teacher is there to support, model strategies, and engage children in a discourse as it relates to a lesson. Once we make the shift to blended learning, office hours will change a little bit. On the days when one teacher is in the building and one teacher is remote, there will only be one office hour from 9:30 to 10:30. This will be updated in your schedule with your Zoom links and in your students' Google Calendar. Labs is going to look different on a case-by-case basis, and we will share that information next week. We have also set up what we are calling the cool down room, and this serves two different purposes. If a student is having difficulty keeping their mask on, and if a student needs to take a break from the classroom. Students will visit the cool down room, they will reset, replace their mask, and return to class as quick as possible. Student and staff groups. So at the elementary school in Long Island City, we've had 315 students opt in to in-person learning. Each group, which is extraordinary, each group has a maximum of 9 students in it. That's following the current guidelines by Department of Health and the CDC to follow social distancing, which means we have 38 groups of students. And it's important to note that groups are made across the grade. And now we've done this to accommodate for families so that siblings are going to school on the same day, and that any families who are, we've tried to make all of, I've tried to meet all of your requests. I thought this was interesting to share, but this is how it breaks down. There are 47 students in kindergarten, 53 in first grade, 62 in second grade, 61 in third grade, 46 in fourth grade, and 46 in fifth grade. Your students' cohort, their day and in-person teacher will be shared with you via email early next week. Please note that Monday is a holiday for the school, so we're aiming to get this out to you on Tuesday or Wednesday. Staff groups, we wanted to make sure that one teacher is in person and one person is live or remote, so that no matter if you chose blended or remote, you have one teacher with you at all times. We wanted to make sure our student groups were balanced, that siblings were on the same day, and that we honored parents' requests as much as possible. These are our current staff groupings. This is subject to change, but you can see teachers' last names there. We have a nurse on staff every day who is not listed on here, and there's at least 2 members from the leadership team on each in-person day. For health and safety, I am going to pass the microphone to Ms. Masame Spar.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Colgan. I want you to rest that wonderful voice. Thank you for taking us through the whole academic side. I will be taking you through the health and safety side. So once again, I'm Ms. Spar and welcome. So first, in the next slide, we're going to talk about the tenets of our health and safety protocol. You should have seen this before. We'll be talking about sanitation, how we're deep cleaning our spaces, reducing capacity, and that's what Ms. Colgan was talking about making sure we have a limited amount of staff and students in the building. How we're reimagining our space and really utilizing indoor and outdoor spaces for educational purposes. And the personal action that we all need to do to ensure the health and safety of our community. In our next slide, we're going to talk a little bit deeper about our sanitation side. So sharing materials are limited, very, very limited. Our custodians will be sanitizing the school building on a regular basis, in particular on those Thursdays and Fridays when no one is in the building. All frequently touched spaces will be cleaned multiple times a day. Unfortunately, our custodial team will only be cleaning, especially while students are in the building. Bathroom use will not exceed the cap. There will be bathroom monitors, there'll be scheduled bathroom breaks for that, and our custodians will be continuously disinfecting our bathroom spaces. We can go a little bit into reduced capacity. We are breaking up our groups into smaller cohorts. At the school, it's about 9 students per class. We can fit about 10 people in a room, so that includes 1 teacher. Our architects and engineers have went through every single classroom to measure the space to ensure that that is accurate and true based on DOE guidelines, based on CDC guidelines. The number of staff that is interacting with students have been reduced and limited. Only staff and students are permitted inside the building that should be there, unless it is an absolute emergency. Lunch and breakfast, as you have been told earlier, will be in classrooms. Students will remain in the same group of students, no mixing. And once again, only necessary visitors will be allowed into the building. And if someone has to come in the building, they will have to follow our health and safety protocols in order to gain access. Now let's go into how we're gonna reimagine our space in the next slide. It is not going to look how it looked before. These classrooms are what it looked in the previous years before COVID. We're still going to have that growing up green flavor and flair, but it's just going to be a little bit less furniture and no rugs. So it's going to look a little bit different, but it's still going to have the culture in that space. We can continue on and talk about personal action. We're going to get into ventilation in a little bit. So personal action is just what we're doing every single day, right? So all staff and students will have mandatory health screenings. Those are the temperature checks at the door. I strongly encourage parents to also take temperatures at home before your child comes to school. Before you leave the house, you should take your temperature. But also note that temperatures will be taken at our school building. All staff and students and visitors and anyone, they must wear a mask. They are required to wear a mask in order to gain access to our space. All staff and students are expected to social distance. There will be markings on the floor to show that, but also we'll be monitoring our spaces to ensure that everyone's socially distancing. And we're requiring folks to wash their hands and hand sanitize throughout the day. There are many stations in order for them to do that to ensure our safety. All of these in collection, all of these one by one together ensures our safety. So you can't just wear a mask and never wash your hands. Got to do it all. In our next slide, we're going to talk about just thresholds. We shared this back in the summer, but we'll just talk about it again. In order for schools to reopen and stay open, the percentage of positive tests and cases in New York City must be less than 3% on a 7-day rolling average, right? We are way below or 1% or just about at 1%, but schools are not fully open yet, right? So we'll see once the DOE starts next week and once we roll out what that actually is looking like. And schools will need to close if the percentage of cases are equal or more than 3% in a 7-day rolling average. So we're all looking at the data to make sure that our spaces are safe in order to keep schools open. Just a little bit briefly about the testing and tracing. So Growing Up Green will be a part of the NYC Test and Trace Corps, and working very closely with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene on investigating positive COVID cases. So I can go very briefly on this slide because you're going to get this afterwards, but it's just if there's a case in the classroom, what is the school doing, how are we reporting, and how many days that classroom is going to be closed, and those staff and students are quarantined. The biggest thing about this chart that you should just recognize is that there's a lot of instances where the school will potentially close, or a classroom will close, a floor may close. It's really important that we all follow the guidelines that we spoke about before to ensure our safety. If you're sick, stay home, wear all your PPE, all of those things that ensure our safety. But we know their cases are going to happen, not just at our school, but every school. So if those cases do happen, we may need to close, and we'll share that information with you as soon as we know it, right? We might get that call that evening, you might get that call first thing in the morning, right? So just be prepared. In our next slide, we're going to talk through just some other health and safety protocols that you should just keep in mind, especially as a parent. I'm a parent of 2 wonderful girls. We have a lot of reminders for ourselves, so just keep this in mind. Once again, if you're not feeling well, stay home. Stay home, stay home, stay home. No need to come in if you're sick, right? You can always go to remote learning that day. Stay home. We encourage all 5th grade families to have your child leave on own, giving us permission for your child to leave on own. That means, even if that means I'm leaving the school building and I'm meeting you up the block or 2 blocks away in your car to go home, that is fine, right? Just make sure if your child, especially in 5th grade, can leave on their own, please have them leave on their own so that dismissal is just more fluid and faster. If you want your child to wait with a teacher, that's fine as well. But just know if they leave on their own, they're meeting you down the block. That means that you don't even have to get out your car. Your child can come to you and then you can go home. Timeliness is important, and I think Ms. Colgan said it many times before, right? Drop off your child on time, right? Stay with them, let them do their health screening, then you go to work. In the afternoon, pick up your child on time, right? It's a health and safety risk, and it's just also kind of sad, right? When your child and everyone else gets picked up and your child's the last one there, right? So please, please, please pick up your child on time, drop them off on time. I know it's going to be tough. It's one day right now, right? We can always try to get close to perfection just for one day, right? Limit early pickups. Like if your child has a doctor's appointment, they have to get picked. They have ballet lessons at that time. The end of the day is 1 p.m. Just limit that early pickup for that day, right? Do that activity on another day. Or just be remote that day and just communicate with us and let us know. And if we call you to pick up your child, especially if they're sick, especially if they happen to come to school on the wrong day, please pick up your child within 30 minutes. If you can't do that because you're at work, check in with your emergency contacts. see who can help and support you on that day to make sure that if you can't make it, you can someone else can pick up your child. It's a health and safety concern, right? Now let's go into other common questions that are coming up. If my child is sick and they're at school, they will go into an isolation room within the school. They will be monitored in that room. Isolation sounds hard, like they're gonna be in a room by themselves and the walls are all white. No, that's not gonna happen. Your child's gonna be safe. It's gonna be a beautiful classroom or an office, but we're just gonna separate them from the group. The nurse is also gonna check and make sure that that child is feeling well, and then we're gonna call you and say, please come pick up ASAP. The next question that some families may have is, what PPE, what protective equipment does my child need? A mask. We will provide masks. If you want to provide your own mask, that's great. It's up to you, but they need to wear a mask to gain entry. If they don't have one, we'll provide. If the child comes to school without a mask, like I said, we will provide a mask. We have an optional shield. We have an optional goggle. Those are additions. They're not requirements. They're additions if you feel like your child needs more protection. What PPE will teachers have? Same thing, masks. If they would like a face shield, they'll have a face shield. If they need gloves, they'll have gloves. If we need gowns, they'll have gowns. If they need shoe booties, you got shoe booties. We have it. If they need it, we'll provide. If a student's quarantined, what happens to their learning? It depends. If their child's healthy, it's just a precaution because they may or may not have had exposure, then they just do remote learning that day. It doesn't affect their attendance at all. If a student's unwell and they can engage in remote learning, they don't engage in remote learning until they're feeling better, and then they can continue on, right? We can always revert back to remote learning. Face coverings must be kept on at all times, right? We encourage staff to go outside for their breaks. Where students are going to go outside for recess. The important thing here is that, we know that face coverings are going to be taken off for some breaks during the day, or potentially, not potentially, for lunch and breakfast, for meals. Those are just short periods of time of just like making sure you take it off, you're eating, you take it off for a few minutes to get a break. But the room is safe, right? Folks are not walking around, everyone's socially distanced at their desks, in their spaces, so we can have that moment to enjoy our meals or just get a break from wearing a mask. I encourage families, though, to have your child, especially in the lower grades, to practice wearing a mask for long periods of time. You can practice that now, so it's not a shock when we start in-person learning. Ventilation. Let's go through. We have a team of architects, engineers, contractors working diligently with us pretty much since July to make sure that our spaces are ready and following the guidelines of the Department of Education and the NYC building code. We can assure you that the buildings will be ready at the start of remote learning. We will share all the documentation from our engineers, from our architects, with families and with staff, so that you can see that this is just not information we're saying, but we have it in writing, it's been reviewed, we're all set, our building is ready. Another favorite topic is busing. And I'm right now, I'm just gonna lay out the details. As parents, I want you to make the best choice for you and your child. Busing is not the same. It is not the same as it was in the past. Busing is an issue on a normal time before COVID. Okay, let me go in. What we know about busing. From the Office of People Transportation, we do not manage busing. We get busing from the Office of People Transportation. Busing will be provided, Buses have a limited capacity of 25%. 60 kids can fit on the bus, 25% is about 15. Based on the bus and the size and the seating, maybe 10 to 15 students can fit on the bus comfortably. Buses will be cleaned once a day. Once. Not between schools, not between, not from the morning to the evening, once a day. Bus drivers are not conducting health screenings. Students, they're encouraging families to take temperature checks at home, but they are not doing any health screenings in order to get on the bus. There are no matrons on the bus, and I'm talking about general ed, not talking about special ed busing. Your child has special ed busing and it's door to door and it's on your child's IP. That's a different conversation. There are matrons on those buses. Our general ed buses do not have a matron. They only have a bus driver. However, this is the plus about this year. Metro cards are available for all students. Not just students. Metro cards are also available for parents. Parents, students, Metro cards, Metro cards. Next slide. So why we even be doing busing knowing the status of busing, right? We know that we have some realistic concerns about the health and safety on busing. We will see how those areas of concern play out next week once DOE starts. But offering busing, we know our parents rely on it, and we want to make sure it's equitable in our community and available if needed at this time. So things to consider, and this is something I would really take some time over the weekend to think about. GUG has no control of what takes place on a bus, including if students are wearing their mask or if students are maintaining social distancing. We all know that sometimes when that bus leaves our school, even after they're buckled in and comfortable, students get out of their seats, they take off their masks, and they do other things because there is no supervision on the bus other than the driver who should be driving. If you have alternate transportation to come to school, we encourage you to do so. It is 1 day a week. If you can, do it, especially when you get a Metro card for your child and for yourself. That's very new. And we reserve the right as a school to pull back on busing if we notice that the cases are increasing. And not just any cases, not just children being sick, right? We're all gonna get sick. We're talking about positive COVID test result coming from the bus. As a school, we can pull back on busing because if we have multiple positive cases, we have to close school. And that's an inconvenience, not just to one, but to all. So I appreciate all parents thinking about busing. If you are still interested in busing after that, we will share some information about busing, but I strongly encourage, if you really want to get that Metro card. Okay, I think that was my last slide. Erin Acosta, we can talk about school updates.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farr. Good evening, everyone. I feel like I'm the lucky one. I get the fun stuff. So even in this time of social distancing and all of us having to be apart, we still want to keep our community together and offer fun and joyful and exciting things to do together, even if they are virtually. So school updates, really important one on the next slide. So this is probably a hot topic. If you would like, if you are 100% remote learning right now, and you would like to opt in to blended learning, these are the dates you can do it. We will be sending out a blended learning opt-in form. So the first time that goes out to families will be November 13th. And then the new round of blended learning will start after Thanksgiving. And right now we have scheduled these. The next one is February 11th, and then the last one is March 26th. Of course, all of this is subject to change. We're going to see how the city does and how the numbers go in New York City for COVID and how blended learning goes. But for now, these are the 3 times in the coming school year where you will be able to move from remote into blended learning. If you are signed up for blended learning now and you want to switch to remote learning, you can do that at any time. Please just send an email to Ms. Lunetta and she will help you through that. So GUG Marketplace, thank you to all the families who came out to the first one, which was a couple weeks ago in September. We will be having another round of Marketplace dates. We are still waiting on the computers to arrive. So the date will be in mid-October. We don't have it for you, but the moment we do, of course, we'll blast it out on our website and Facebook pages and in newsletters and everywhere else we can put it. So at that time, all our students will be getting a new Chromebook. We will also have additional student supplies. There'll be some more art supplies and PE supplies. We're also going to have some recycled books to share with families. And then we are going to be continuing our program with Lifeline Groceries. So there'll be more information about all those events upcoming. Like everything else, please keep checking your emails. And I guess we can go to the next slide. So speaking of bringing our community together and celebrating it, our first assembly of the school year will be on October 2nd, and it will be a live Zoom at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and this is with our wonderful music teacher, Miss Wheeler, and all of our specials. We really hope you guys can show up and come and see what fun stuff all the kids have been doing so far. We'll send the link in the mail, the email. Check your email.
Sorry, Ms. Acosta, it's gonna go to their Google Classroom.
Oh, this one's gonna go to the Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like your Google Classroom. So that's your student's classroom account. And then finally, our PTO had a great meeting, first meeting of the year last week. And so they're inviting all families to join them this coming Tuesday, the 29th at 6 p.m. They're going to do a fun meet and greet. Again, we're trying to find ways to stay connected even while we have to stay apart. So that one, check your email, check the email from the PTO for that invite. And we're calling on volunteers. We need class parents, volunteers for each of our classrooms. So we're going to be sharing this presentation after the meeting tonight, and all of these in the presentation, you can click on all these links and you can sign up to be a classroom parent. The website's here, their email, join their Facebook group, all the meeting dates for the coming year. So even though we're apart, there's lots of ways for you to still be part of our community. So join the PTO and help each other out.
And so that brings us to the end of our very lengthy presentation on blended learning. I've put my contact information here. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. I will help if I can't answer, I will get you to someone who can answer. There was one question that came up in the chat that I just wanted to address to the whole group. There was questions about students who have IEPs and how will they be getting their services. That is different on a case-by-case basis. So if you'd like to reach out to me, I can direct you to the right team of people to help get those questions answered for you. So with that, I want to say thank you, everyone. Be well, take care of yourselves, and we're looking forward to this new adventure of blended learning.